Hello friends, hope everybody is doing well today. Hopefully for anybody that hops on here, they will see. Let me know if the stream looks good to you guys. Hopefully it's nice and clear. I'm almost moved out of my new apartment, or my old apartment I should say, but we'll have an even better view hopefully next time I see you. Let me know what that looks like when you get a chance to hop in, and we will get started. With any luck, we should be able to see here. There we go. All right. So we've got a little bit of stuff to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the B Celtic double ding. And this particular instrument is, here we go, now I'm in the live stream. Perfect. How's it going, guys? Now we're in. All right. I have my live stream up on here. How's it going, guys? Hope you're doing well. All right, so we're going to chat about the double ding today. And the double dings that RAV offers are probably not any more difficult than other instruments, but they do provide a slightly different challenge than something like an 8-note instrument or a 9-note instrument. These scales really are perfect for players that are looking for a little bit different of a challenge, but something that's not beyond the difficulty level of other instruments that they offer. So this particular one I have in front of me is a B Celtic double ding. And this is a scale that I have worked with for quite a long time, and something that I think was partially popularized by some of my earlier videos. And it's a special instrument simply because of the variety of sort of music modalities that you can play on it. So I'll give you guys a view of this here. And the double ding is interesting because it's just like a normal layout for a Celtic or other such scales. However, because we have an A in the center here, we have a little bit more variety available to us on it. So if I was playing using the 1 is what my B would be like on a normal instrument. Let me take a look. So if we're using the 1, it's a standard B Celtic scale. But if we use the center note as our origin point, it feels a little bit more like an A major scale. So I always recommend to my students that we try to play either using this as our starting point, this is an A and an A, or we use the 1 as our starting point and we ignore the center. Both of these positions allow us to write without much struggle, but to make it a little more simple, we're able to take this movement and move back and forth. So if I'm starting from the 1, I can play as if I'm playing a normal scale. With this as my center point, I now have access to any note of the 3, and that's And when I'm playing, if I'm using this, it's going to have a little happier, a little bit more uplifting feeling. So when I switch to the minor, so let me give you an example of a piece that jumps between both of these. And when we're playing these, we're able to use both of them as our anchor point. And if anyone's taken any lessons with me before, you know that in RAV lessons, and also handpan lessons, we're picking sort of tonal centers. So on this instrument, our tonal center is the 1, so this note right here, and also the ding. And again, this is kind of like you were to stick 2 low notes on an instrument. And on handpans, they often do it on the one on the bottom and one on the top. Like on the old RAV pan F pygmies, there's a ding and then 2 lower notes in the bottom. This makes it a little bit easier because it's more accessible in this position. So let me play a little tune on this. Let me know how the audio sounds as well, guys. Hopefully it's sounding good. Here we go. So in this song, I'm swapping between that central note and the lower note. So if we're looking at the scale, I'm using this as my origin point and this. And by bouncing between the two of these, it gives us a little bit different of a flavor and also allows us to kind of swap between major and minor. One of the other things that RAV has called a double ding in the past, which isn't a double ding, and I think what they're meaning by this is that it has a double note on the top half. And this is the B kurd. And the B kurd is a scale that I'm super, super fond of. It's an instrument that I bring with me every time I perform somewhere. It allows people to have a ton of different chord progressions. Super useful scale. So I am always bringing this with me as well. Good. I'm so glad the instrument sounds good. How's the quality, Naden? Hopefully it sounds good. This microphone is very good on here as well, so let me know how the quality is. Now, the B Celtic, which people have called the double ding, of course, sounds a little bit more minor and a little bit almost spicier than other scales. because of this, we're able to use a bunch of different positions as our starting points. So if I'm using the center, I have pretty much from this up. But the reason the kurd is such a good choice for people is that we really have the 1, 2, 3, all the way up to the 4 as my starting point. And for newer players, I think oftentimes they find that this seems challenging at first for them. But in reality, it's no more difficult than any other scale. And I think the initial challenge is just because they see that this is the starting point, and it seems a little bit trickier in theory. But the reality of it is that it's just as hard or just as easy as any other scale. So let me play you something about a minute or two on here, and you can let me know what it sounds like. So here we go. In terms of using it, I don't really use the outer rim. You could use it as a percussive noise. I tend to like the sound on the body. If you are looking at your instrument when you're playing it, the rib of the instrument is going to give you the cleanest sound, whereas the rest of it's going to be a little bit different sounding than that. I find that for me, the best quality sound is going to come on this area. So if I was doing a contact noise, I would be using the flat part of my finger against the body here. And on the newer generation, the Indigo RAVs, this area is going to give us the cleanest noise. If you hit below that, you're going to hear a little bit more of the note, or if you hit above a note, you're going to hear a little bit more, but the cleanest sound is going to be close to the golden rim and on the area that you can see that's between these two notes. On some of them, you can see that this is the contact point where the instrument is attached to the frame. And if you've seen any of RAV's videos, you've probably seen how they were made as well. So one of the many reasons you might be interested in purchasing one of these scales is that both the B Celtic Doubleding and the B Kurd are instruments that allow you to express yourself in even more ways than other scales. Where I'm a player who's interested in actually writing music on an instrument, I find that these two scales are really good choices for people that want to be able to express themselves in ways that they're not going to really get tired of playing. Again, one of the trickier things for people is being able to vary their playing styles. And for me as a musician, having more notes typically makes it a little more efficient use of my time. And I find that when I'm writing, I want to have at least 4 different notes on the bottom. This allows me to create and to craft things that feel a little bit more alive and a little bit more interesting as well. So I'm a big proponent of having slightly more notes on instruments if humanly possible. So let me play you another piece. If you have any more questions, Naden, or any other person in here, just let me know. I'm going to change my view slightly. Let's get this up a little bit higher. Hopefully you can get a good view here. All right. Here's our top-down view. Once I move into my new apartment, we're going to have a little bit easier of a time doing these strings, but for the moment, we're doing our best with what we have here. So, all right, here we go. One of the songs on my last album as well was called Wild Spaces, and also Solifaction on there was played on the kurd. It was on a different instrument. It was on the handpan versus the RAV, but you can play this song on the RAV very easily as well. So I'll give you a rendition of Solifaction on there. So here we go. How's the audio and video? Is this sounding good to everybody that's listening to it right now? I like this audio source a lot because it gives a little bit more crisp of a sound than the other ones that I've used. So for people that are watching this after the fact, let me know which of these two scales you've tried. Also let me know which ones you found to connect a little bit more with your playing style. For me, if I were to pick between the kurd or the B Celtic doubleding, I personally play the B Celtic doubleding a little bit more. And this is not because I think it's a better quality or anything like that. I find that for me, it's a little bit more comfortable in writing. Maybe a little stand for my foot here. When you're first starting to create on these scales, finding an instrument that you connect with is going to make your life a lot easier. Getting a little step for my foot here. There we go. All right. When you have a scale that you connect with, it just makes your life easier in general. And I find that the kurd for me allows me to have a good mix of percussive playing and also playing that allows me to meander and not have to always know where I'm going. Between the two of them, I think that the B kurd is probably a little bit easier of a choice for people. But again, like I said on the last stream, as long as you connect with that scale, that's all that really matters. It's not going to prevent you from being able to play. So don't really let that dissuade you from purchasing it if you're interested in this scale in general. So I'm going to play you another piece on the B Celtic doubleding. So let me swap you out again. Right. The nice thing about this scale too is that because of this dual setup, I'm able to make use of jumps between the two. So if I was doing So for a percussionist, being able to bounce between the two of these gives you a lot of variety and gives you a lot of movement that kind of attracts new players to the instrument. And it's funny, you would think that the kurd would have a little bit more popularity, but I actually get more students on the doubleding than I do on the kurd. And I think that's just because early on in my playing, I did a video for RAV where I talked a lot about why the kurd's a good choice, and I think that made it very attractive to new players. And I had the song actually that I played at the beginning of this stream was the one that I think sold a lot of people on the scale initially. So let me know what questions you guys have for anybody that's in here right now. Hopefully, if the timing is a little bit different next time. Yes, yes. There are lots of different ways to play on it, so. Pretty fun. The thing that is different on the B Celtic doubleding versus on the standard B Celtic is that if we're looking at the scale, the layout of this is going to mean that you're playing a B Celtic, but it's shifting everything up one. So if you're somebody that is looking for, oh good, I'm glad you like it, Aiden. If you're looking for something that allows you to bounce back and forth, this instrument is going to change the way that you are learning compared to on the B Celtic. The B Celtic has only up until this note, and it's shifting the ding up into this position. So if you're looking for a teacher, and I offer one-on-one Zoom lessons for people at all different skill levels, if you're looking for lessons, it's going to mean that that teacher really needs this scale. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that. You're really going to need to have a teacher on this scale. And if you're not working with someone on this scale, it could kind of throw you off a little bit. So recommend you find someone using this particular scale if you're going to take lessons on it. For people that are working and looking for an instrument, I'm going to give you a couple different chords on here that are going to allow you to start playing right away. So if I'm playing, this is using side notes. Hopefully this is clear. The thing that's a little bit harder too on here is that if I'm playing a dyad progression, I have to remember that the 1 and the 2 works, but the real resolving dyad on here is 1 and 2. And that's just because this whole thing has been shifted up a note because of this. So a lot of times people struggle a little bit at first on the double ding because of that relationship. There's really no reason why you can't kind of pick it up pretty quickly. So. Using that bounce back and forth. I'm going to swap back to the B Celtic, or sorry, the B kurd. And again, B kurd is a fantastic instrument. I find that the jump between these two right and left sides really allows you to play things that you wouldn't normally have access to. So if I was playing something in a 3-3-2 pattern, and that's doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, this allows you to step out of the normal 8 counts. So if I was just playing an 8, I would be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you could do this whether you're hitting just a single note or you're walking around as well. Oh, we have a question. Let's see. I have trouble getting a clear note out of the high F sharp on the double ding. So, all right, I can fix that for you. So if you're reaching up, and I'm presuming, let me go back to the double ding real quick. Give me 1 second here. So, on the double. So this would be the highest note, which is right here. Let me swap videos. So you're talking about this one, right, Steve? Let me know if you hear this and you're correct. It's that high note there. So when you are playing that note, you need to not have an arched finger at all. And I'm not sure if this is how you're playing it or not, but if you approach the instrument with sort of this strike, it's going to be really hard to get a nice tone on this because of that position. So when you're coming at it, reach your hand out very straight like this and flick down close to the edge of this note here. I'm hitting around this area here. Okay, perfect. So I'm hitting this position and I'm hitting all the way over here. And I'm letting my finger flick down like I'm touching a hot plate. And for some of my students, I tell them to brace their hand, this part of their hand, on the top of the instrument as they flick down, because that forces your hand to come back up. So that would be my biggest recommendation for you if you're having a hard time getting a clear sound out of it. The other is to not use this motion. Like if you're picking your hand up and going back down, that is part of the struggle for you. And when people adjust either hitting by bracing, again, the bottom of their hand and flicking down, and they stop moving up and down, that will really help you to get a clear sound. There's some players that use a poke method, and the poke method is when you're approaching a note like this. You know, it's not a bad thing per se, but it is a little bit more difficult to get a clear note on the highest. I can do it just because I've been playing for 9 years now, but I find for my students, I always recommend flat-fingered, flicking down with this part of my finger right here. Hopefully you can see that. I'm aiming for this area and not so much further back and not so much towards the tip. And hopefully that'll allow you to get a clearer note. So I'm striking flat-fingered right over this part of the vast. So hopefully that clears it up for you. Let me know if that works for you, Steve, if you're on there. And again, for anybody watching this posthumously, if you want to learn in a song-based way, I offer lessons to people all over the world. I have almost like 30 weekly students, and I teach about almost 1,000 people a year how to play the RAV and also the handpan. So if you're interested in song-based lessons, this is a great option for you. And I teach through Zoom, so it's really easy for people that have never played before or people that want to improve their skill set or fix a problem like you, Steve. So for anybody that's just joining too, make sure you like and subscribe after you watch this. It allows RAV to be able to provide more videos for you like this. I'm going to have a bunch of new content coming out that I'm going to be helping to create. Some new reviews, probably a new review of the B Celtic Double Ding. And yeah, so you can support us that way. And making sure we comment on them there. I do both these. I do both. Oh, that's funny. Okay, good. Not to do. Yes, the poke method, Steve, it's not that it's wrong to play this way, but there are some teachers, and this is the angle that people are playing that. Doing this, you can't really bounce your finger back off fast enough to get a good strike. I'm really having to lift my wrist up to get out of the way with that strike. So that hopefully will fix it for you when you're playing. So one of the other things you can do too, Steve, is if you brace, and I'll show you from this angle too so you can see a little bit better. If you brace like this and flick down, and I'll change my camera so you can see it slightly better. If you brace there and flick down, that's going to give you a little bit more. When I flick with my finger, I'm using, this part can be a little bent at this knuckle, but I'm keeping my finger straight here. And the reason for this is that this allows this to move as sort of a fulcrum. And the same way as if you're like tapping somebody on the shoulder. That's the motion we're looking for when we're striking. So I really hope that helps you, Steve. And it's oftentimes the double ding that people are like, oh, I can't get the high note. I actually had somebody say to me recently that they thought their RAV was broken. And I've on all of my life working with RAV and playing RAV, I've never encountered a broken RAV. I'm sure maybe if you threw it up a building, it would break. But they were like, oh, the notes are dead. It doesn't make any sound. And the problem was that they were playing it on a table. So the table was taking away some of the sound. And you'll notice if you're playing on a hard floor or you're putting it on a table or even on the grass outside, but the grass is soft enough where it doesn't change it that much. you may notice that the sound is a little bit decreased. And that's the best. So I'm going to with my thumb as well. Good. Good, Steve. I'm very glad that helped. Good. Yeah, the thumb is easier up there, you're right, because you're able to do a little bit more of a flick. If you're doing the thumb too, try not to do this sort of a strike, although you can do it. Try to do, like, lift your thumb up and flick it down in that way. And let it bounce back up. Same thing for this. If you're flicking down, the natural resting state of your hand is going to want to pop back up. So, hope that helps. All right, let me play you one more tune. If you guys have questions as well, please write them in the comments. Hopefully I'll be all moved into my new apartment next week, and we'll have an even better, more magical setup next time I am there. But we may do today, because I didn't know this is exactly when we're starting. So let me play you one more tune on the kurd, and then you can ask me any final questions you have as well. So let me give you a view of my face maybe when I'm playing this one. Here we go. And this is a song that I wrote for a student who is a super nice fellow. He lost a child, so I wrote this kind of in memory of that child for him. I have to say the new B kurd in this generation sounds amazing, the RAV Indigo, so highly recommended if you're interested in one of these skills. There's a nice sort of growl to the notes, which is kind of fun. So. again, check out the B Celtic Doubleding. And I call the B kurd not a doubleding. It has a double note. But they've called it a doubleding, so people have kind of adopted it on there for them. But I definitely recommend exploring both the B kurd and, of course, the lovely, sorry for the loud noise, lovely B Celtic Doubleding. Both are great scales for writing and creating as well. So, hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Hopefully next time we'll have a slightly better setup. I'm moving out of my apartment. You can see I'm missing my bookshelf now for people that know what my apartment looks like. And I'm going to have a much bigger space, so I'll have a great place to do videos. And I look forward to talking to you again next week. I believe next week we're going to push it later in the day, maybe 6 or 7 o'clock, which is perfect for me because I tend to be out and about and teaching during the day. So talk to you guys next time. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out the new RAV Indigo generations. They're absolutely beautiful instruments. And RAV Moonstream, fingers crossed next week. Let's hope. Let's hope. I'm very excited to play them. So stay well, friends. I'll talk to you soon, and happy playing. If anyone's interested in lessons as well, rewildyoursoulmusic.com, and also my Spotify is Rewild Your Soul, iTunes. You can find all of my music. I have 4 or 5 years of recordings on there. So